Welcome back to another edition of Pro Pels Talk, presented to you by the Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Pro Pels Talk, located at 19 Poydras Street. By the Superroom, give them a call at 504-523-5413 if you or someone you know has been involved in an accident. Chris Connor, 5, Lito. We're going to predict 2023-2024 New Orleans Pelicans. Chris, starting with you. Zion Williamson, will he be an MVP candidate this year?
Zion Williamson is the MVP candidate when he walks on the floor. So I don't think that that's going to be difficult for him necessarily. Can he sustain whatever level of playing that he's putting together to, get past just a run, get past a really great, a great month or, a good couple of weeks? That's the only thing with Zion. At this point, I think where he's at or where he's growing to mentally, and with some of the talents on this team that are here and will arrive, and if he's out there, I think that you have an opportunity for this team to, surprise folks, right? A lot of people are being safe, and we'll talk about our predictions, but people have them at 42 wins, because they don't know what exactly they're walking into, and it's a wait and see kind of thing. But if he's out there, every game he's out there, he's going to be an MVP candidate. That guy that was out there even for a preseason game in Orlando was that. So I don't question that. It's just about him being able to sustain that and play enough games to really see if it can be, if it's something that we can actually be talking about past the new year.
Yeah. And Jared, there was an interesting interview this week with Zion Williamson talking about how some of his teammates called him up and that they didn't think that he was giving forth maximum effort and he didn't want to let them down. So he set a tone there in Orlando. One, do you think Zion Williamson can be an MVP candidate? And two, what are your thoughts on what he said a couple days ago after practice?
Yeah, of course Zion can be an MVP candidate. I mean, if we look at last year and look at the month of December, like everybody thought that guy could be an MVP. Like now, I mean, barring injury, right? Is just staying healthy. For Zion, health as well. For his team, health as well. Right. But you talk about the comments he made. Yeah, I appreciate one of his teammates, telling Zion, hey, we need you. We need a better effort out of you. And he performed that way. My only pushback is, why somebody got to tell you, bro? That's my only pushback. Like, yo, you the man. You need somebody to tell you you're the man. You gotta look in the mirror and tell yourself that, and hopefully it gets to the point where he can just flex yourself, like flex, bro. Do your thing. Everybody else gonna follow your lead. You present, you perform. Everybody gonna follow that because that's what David Griffin was alluding to be honest.
Yeah, Lito, who do you think called him out? Do you think it was one player? Do you think it was multiple players? Or do you think maybe it was a coach? Like, who do you think
called them up?
Sorry, who called them up? I'm sorry, I apologize.
See, the phrasing of that makes a difference. The phrasing of that makes a difference because if you ask me if a player called him out, I would have said yes. But the way Fox has phrased that, I'm gonna say Willie called him up.
Why?
Why did he say teammates?
He said teammate. Okay, well, I'm gonna go on my original answer. I'm gonna say Christian.
Explain why, because I'm interested to hear that. Because I actually agree with that as well.
I mean, the energy was terrible. Like honestly, the effort that he gave in the preseason game against Orlando the first time, like it was decent. What was the second game they played?
Houston.
No, it might have been the Hawks. I think the Hawks game. Like it was
the Hawks game in Birmingham. That was the night.
The Birmingham game. That's the one it was. It was like it was so bad, and those are back-to-back games. I think Christian.
I lied. I got to correct myself. Houston was in Birmingham. Atlanta was in their G League.
College Park.
Yes, that's what it was. Sorry.
I feel like Christian. I feel like Christian is the one to kind of like, man, listen, bro. Like we going into the season, and I know it's a preseason game, but for real, like if we want to be successful, like you have to be the guy. The same thing that Griff said at the podium on media day when he kind of was like, we have many guys, but it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like listen, if anybody's ever had a dog, right? It could be multiple people in the house, bro. Multiple people in the house. Only one person could train that dog. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter. It ain't gonna listen to you, him, her. It's gonna listen to that person, and then the commands will follow down the chain. You know what I'm saying? The chain of command. But as far as like who starts the training, it can only be one person. So with that being said, this has to be Zion. This has to be his bidding. He got to take that mentality. You know what I'm saying, in every game. But to reference what Five said, that kind of bothered me too, though. Like, why somebody got to tell you that? Nobody shouldn't have to tell you that, especially after what the hell you just this whole offseason. Like, dog, like come in, stand on business, bro. Be what you said you was gonna be at media day.
Do you think it's and whoever wants to answer, I was gonna ask this to Ross next, but like whoever wants to answer first, like, do you think it's maybe a step in the right direction that one, he did at least say like one, like, okay, you called me up, right? I want to set a tone. And two, he kind of also let the media know what kind of happened, stuff like the behind the scenes stuff. Like, Ross, do you think it's maybe a step in the right direction of Zion maybe maturing a little bit here as the camera goes? There we go. You got the camera here.
Got it. I'm back. No, absolutely. And that's, look, I'm not overly, I think I'm realistic in expectations for this year. But one of the things that I think is like pushing my optimism a little bit is that I think Zion has matured. I think he had a lot of shit happen over the last, call it 10 months, that has sort of forced him to grow up and maybe acknowledge some things that are tough to acknowledge for a 21, 22-year-old, 19-year-old when he came in the league. And yeah, I look, I mean, it's still not all going to go smooth. It never does. But I think Zion's going to have a good year. I really do. I think he's going to play more games than he's ever played. I think you're going to get a different mentality from him. I'm optimistic that this thing is gonna start to right itself, on his shoulders this year. I really am.
Chris, elaborate more on those comments because, I think Lito and Five have a point. Like, why aren't you coming in, right, and just setting the tone from the beginning, but also then realizing that he has had a tough off season and then comes in, doesn't really give a lot of good energy, and then he responds to the criticism. That instead of shutting down, which we've seen before, and just, I'm not going to talk about it. Like, he talked about it, stood up on it, and then acted on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I mean, with comments like these, I mean, there's always questions to go around. I mean, I have questions on this show right now, like, why is Lito positioned between two midsections? I mean, but, I think that outside of that, when it comes to Zion, it's, look, man, he's 22. Yeah. And we've seen several different. No, are you guys okay?
I just can't. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right. So I think we've seen different phases of Zion, man. We've seen quiet, we've seen excited, we've seen happy, we've seen reserved. Now he's had a summer where life is doing his thing, right? Now. He has a child on the way, right? Next month or within the next few months, he's going to be, he's welcoming in, a human into this life. He's had, and who knows about the things that we don't know about, the things that we've heard off, outside of this show privately. It's a lot, man. And that's outside of the expectations of still living up to being the dude that you were when you first got to New Orleans, a dude that was that was being compared with LeBron James and Charles Barkley, and you signed to Jordan. Your third shoe is out, right? I think this Zion, even if we can break apart that he should already know these things. I think it's clear that when you think about the things that he's been through, even if you simply talk about on a basketball floor, I can possibly understand why he wouldn't know exactly what he's looking at in the mirror, because he hasn't been able to prove it to himself yet that this is who I am. I may think I'm this individual. People may tell me I'm this in glances, but I have not been able to do it. Similar to what Five, Justin, and Lito, when you guys were at media day, when he said he couldn't be the leader because he hasn't proven enough yet. I think that answer is trending down towards in that category, in that area of someone who really understands that I got to take more accountability, even if, people might look at my answer and kind of question it or turn their head.
Yeah. And also, Five, we kind of talked about this in the group chat, but I've never seen Zion and Willie interact like they did after practice, like a couple days ago when Zion after practice came up and was like, "What do we say, coach?" Like, "Let's get it." And then like they started laughing, kind of skipped off. Like he seems to be in a better mood. The mood seems just a lot better from media day. Now, body language obviously tells you a lot. I think since game 4 in Orlando and then seeing him in practice, he looks completely different.
I mean, that's what you kind of expect, right? Like you expect the guy. He seemed like he was just going through something, right? Everybody goes through mood change. We're human, right? We go through things that upsets us, and that kind of impacts our, livelihood and Paul's performance. And I think that's probably what Zion was going through, like things that have impacted him negatively, and it's just kind of lingered over. So this version of him is him understanding. I think that's the light bulb that's going off right now for him. He understands who he is. Now he just has to, put it all on a basketball court, right? He has to. You can't lead without following, and he hasn't been able to follow consistently. So you're just trying to force him into a leadership role when he hasn't been able to follow. He's been able to follow at points, but not at a consistent place. You got to remember, it was one point where they had to ship him to Portland just to get his head clear. Like, how is that guy just going to be just placed into a position of leadership when he has to take care of himself first? And I think that's what's happening. It's the maturation of Zion Williamson right in front of us. We have to allow it to actually happen and not force it.
That's well said, Five. Let's get to the next segment here. Leo, starting with you. Oh, yeah, you got something?
Wait, I gotta say something. You didn't ask me if he could win MVP like you asked everybody else. So you asked me a totally alternative question. That's crazy. I like to say that I'll take your question from you and I'll just answer it myself. Thank you, Justin, for your participation.
Justin or Jermaine? Wow, it's the first time we called me Justin on the show in like 2 months. That's pretty impressive there. Okay?
It's not Justin though. It's just JUS and then the number 10. So just be cool. Let me get this.
Damn.
I'd like to say that yes, Zion can be an MVP for sure. I talked to Brother Durag a couple pods ago, and I told him that just Zion would average 38 and 5, and he laughed at me just like that. And I told him all he needed to do was get 4 more free throws a game, and he was right there. And I'm standing by those words. He will average 38 and 5. Thank you. What's your question now?
Who's taking the biggest leap this year for the New Orleans Pelicans? Biggest leap.
Jesus. I mean,
nah, man.
Are you prepared to answer the question?
Nah, actually, I wasn't. I didn't know what the question was going to be. I'll tell you this. I hope the answer is Willie Green.
Oh,
I did not see that coming. Go ahead.
That's crazy. I really feel like, like everybody wants Willie to be successful. And I'm sure, at the same time, Willie wants Willie to be successful also. You got to look at it, a guy who doesn't have much time on his remaining deal. I would say that this is his year also, along with it being Zion's year. They're pretty much tied at the hip at this point. I think that I want to see Willie, grow in situational times in the game. I want him to grow like rotational time. I don't want it to be like where Jarrett Collins is handling the rotation and we have no input whatsoever on anything that's going on. I want you, if you see something you don't like, I want you to be able to step in and be like, listen, I'm the head coach. Because at the end of the day, it's all go fall on him if it goes wrong. So like you might as well take advantage of the situation and be like, hey, look, I want this shit to go how I want it to go. I want certain plays called. If you see a set not working, I want Willie to be like, no, let's try something new. Let's try a wrinkle. Let's put a variant in there. Let's do this. Or if a defense isn't working, I don't want Willie to just sit there and look at whoever and say draw a new play up. Like you do it. You draw the play up. You get it. You get ahead of the bad the bad play at hand.
Interesting. That's a good answer. Lito, real quickly though, can you answer this? If he doesn't get the big three healthy, is it still fair to give? I mean, listen, I'm fine with the criticism, but those three got to play together, in my opinion, for us to give a fair grade of Willie Green. Listen, he wasn't that great last year. I'll be admitted, but I don't think he's a terrible coach. I think he just hasn't had his best guys.
I feel the opposite. I feel like given what happened last year in terms of lack of ability for the big three, I think he did great last year. I think he was a game away from having them actually in the playoffs with Zion only playing 28 games. I feel like given, what he had to work with, he did a great job.
Good answer. Ross, go ahead. Who's the we'll go Ross, Chris, and 5. Who's biggest lead?
For me, it's super easy. Do any of y'all by any chance know what Herb Jones shot from 3 after the All-Star break last year?
I think he was 36.
44.
Yeah.
44. Shot 44% last year from 3 after the All-Star break on whatever, 50 or 60 attempts. So half a season, sure, small sample size, could argue. I think if Herb Jones can continue, he's not going to shoot 45% from 3, but career, he's in that 35. If he can carry over somewhere in the middle of that, if he can land 40, 41, 39, and really add that element to his game long term, I think it's an easy answer. And I kind of think he can. I think I saw enough of it at the end of last year. And again, like I said, if he adds that element to his game with what you're going to get from an energy perspective, what you're going to get from being kind of a Swiss Army knife, obviously the defense, I think he becomes a really, really impactful player as opposed to a useful role player.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets to 40%, but if he gets to like 37, that's a win for me. In my opinion, I think he gets to 37, then he becomes
37 for me is still
like, to me, if he gets to 37%, he's better than Austin Reeves. What
the fuck is happening here?
What
is happening on this show?
What
is happening? Do you guys realize how good of a shooter 37% is from 3?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what Herb Jones shoots for his career? Can he get to 35? Can he be average?
Shit, I was asking for 35.
Here we fucking go again, man. This is the second week in a row you're taking
37%. 37%.
He's not a high volume guy, Chris. He's not a high volume guy.
Do what you said?
I don't care what.
Underpaid. Is that what you said?
If he shoots 37%, Herb Jones is underpaid.
I 100%. And I think there's a very realistic chance, based on what we saw the back half of last year, that he can shoot 37% from 3 this year. Because he's not a guy that's going to be hoisting up. It's the type of shots he's taking too, Chris. You got to remember. And
I'm not ready to answer. I'm not ready for it to be my turn. 5. You got to go. Pause. You
hear me out.
Next,
and
bro.
So is he going to? And so the answer, what you really have to think about, is he shot 44% at the end of last year without Zion Williamson there. I think it's very fair to assume that he's going to get better looks with Zion there. And so I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility for him to take a 3-4 kind of percent jump for the season. And if he does, then Chris just said it, we got an underpaid player.
5
passing around the gummies. Y'all, this like a community thing.
Are you ignoring that he vastly improved? But I guess that's why.
Sure, but
Zion, he's been in the league 2 years.
Herb is ignored, Ross. No matter who's on the floor, they are going to sacrifice. I'm not saying. Listen, I when he was struggling in December, I did a show talking about how I didn't think it was gonna last. I just think a dude that shot 33% back to back, and the thing about it, he's streaky, right? He has really bad months, right? Or he'll have one really bad month, bad lows, high highs. The March, the April, I think it was towards the end of February. It was great. And 100%, I think he's a better shooter. I just think if you're telling me Herb Jones is going to shoot 37% from 3, then that's telling me what you think about this team more than likely, because the team is going to be a lot better if Herb Jones can be on the floor shooting that level of percentage. Because how many other 37% 3-point shooters do you see on this team?
Matt Ryan's a 37% 3-point shooter. He's on the roster. You asked the question. It's Sunday night. We just signed Matt Ryan. Go ahead, 5.
All right, Chris. Whenever you want to shoot this show, man, I'm ready to have this debate, and we can talk about Herb. But the biggest leap. It's kind of difficult. I don't want to be obvious about this answer when I don't want to say Zion. I don't want to say Brandon, and I don't want to say CJ. To be honest, I think it's Trey Murphy. Like, I think that's the pretty much obvious answer here. I think this guy really has a chance to be a star in the NBA. And he's so needed on this team. So it's almost going to be glaring when he comes back. Like, it's going to be like almost like when Socrates or these people, these famous philosophers finally got like the light bulb moment. That's what it's going to look like. The CJ McCollum's going to be like, wow, this is great. I'm at a place where things are going right. Zion's going to be able to get to the rim at ease. Brandon's going to shoot as many mid-range jumpers as he wants. Hopefully not. But this is like when Trey comes back, it's going to be like, wow, we actually have a team that can actually get to the second round and win a series. I'm not going to say win a championship, but that's what it could feel like. That's what it can be when Trey Murphy returns.
Chris, who you got? I think I know. I'd be shocked if
it better not be who I think it is.
I feel like I'm trying to think of like a Aristotle bar here. My dog just threw out Socrates. We're talking about Greek philosophers here. What? Yeah. What's my dog? Plato. I'm trying to.
Plato.
Yeah, man. Y'all know my answer is Dyson Daniels. Okay. Well, I mean, what are we?
Give me an explanation on that. What does a jump? What does a jump look like for Dyson Daniels then?
I mean, are you asking statistically? I mean,
I think it's fair. I mean, looking at the rim, that's not a jump to me. I need throw me some stats. Like what?
I think somewhere around 8 points a game. I think somewhere maybe.
You think he can get to 8 points a game?
This is fucking NBA, Justin. Yes, I think he can get to 8 points a game.
So Herb Jones can't shoot 37%.
Herb Jones averages 11 points a game. You telling me Dyson Daniels can't get to 8 points? You think he's that bad?
No, I don't think he's. I'm sorry. This is your time. I'm gonna let you.
Yeah. Hold on. Now, look, Dyson Daniels is my answer. I think that this team, when healthy, and I do think partially that Dyson Daniels works best when the team is close to being healthy. Mm-hmm. Because I think he does a lot of different things that, to be quite honest, a lot of important guys on this team don't want to do. He just don't. Possession by possession, game by game for an 82 game season, Dyson Daniels does things night to night that I don't think the majority of individuals want to do on the team. And I think that those type of things he's going to get. If Zion's out there, he'll get a few easy layups or dunks when he chooses to go to the rim, right? I think the jump shot is better. I think he will.
Agreed. It is. I agree.
I think he's going to be a better 3-point shooter than Herb Jones, but that's neither here nor there. I think that.
So he's going to shoot 38%. He's going to shoot 38%.
Well, I mean, I guess if Herb's going to shoot 37, he's going to shoot 38. I don't think Herb's shooting 37%. If Herb Jones shoots 37% from three, this team wins 50-plus games.
If you take off the first 2 months of last year, he shot like 36% from three.
How do you do that? How do you take off 2 months?
Because it shows. What do you mean? How do you do it? I just did it. I just used the calculator. Is how I did it.
Okay,
but it shows. Okay. It just. But Chris, what it signifies. If I was taking off 2 months in the middle of the year, cool. Call me an idiot. Taking off October and November, now you're talking about almost 5 straight months of a guy that showed steady improvement in that singular skill and then finished on a really, really high note. I mean, it seemed. I mean, 37%. I'm not saying he's Steph Curry here. I'm saying that I think a guy that just basically proved to you almost that he improved can continue to improve. We know he's a hard worker. I mean, I think it's a reasonable. Prediction.
Can we talk about his jump shot?
That you're being tough on.
Can we talk about his jump shot in context, right? Like the month of January, Herb, right? The month of January, I think he shot 20%, and I think that's the one that everybody they were on a 10-game losing streak without Zion, without Brandon. The team was falling apart. They couldn't get a win. Hell, Trey Murphy wasn't even getting looks, and we're gonna put it on Herb for shooting 20% in a month that everybody shot terribly. Everybody. So I get you. I hear you.
I'm just saying.
To be-
I'm gonna bring context. I'm gonna bring context.
All right.
Herb Jones last year had 1 month where he shot over 33%. Okay, 2 months. You don't count April. There's a few games. He had 1 month where he shot over 33%.
What month?
In his rookie year, if I could bring up his rookie year, I'm willing to bet he had 1 month where he shot over 33% in that year. I'm not saying he can't do it. I just think my bar, Ross, ain't that far away from you. I'm at 35. I think that's a large jump for someone like Herb, because man, like when you hoop, bro, my thought process is this. It's the difference between someone deciding to close out on you in 3-pointers and somebody saying their whole game plan be designed about when you're in the corner,
Sure.
we're standing in the paint.
Right.
Mhm.
We're ignoring you completely. Those wide open shots are worse than closeout threes. They just are. Now, if you're telling me, I mean, I think 33%, 37% from 33% for a dude that shot 33% back-to-back years almost identically. Well, side by side, I think it's tough. But again, I mean, I think it says a lot about what you think about Herb and what you think about this team if you think that that's something that he can do, because that means he had a really good shooting year. Like, we're not talking about an average year. We're not talking about, even in this league today with the amount of shooters they have, 37% for a season is a really good season from three if you're healthy and you play enough games.
I mean, hold on, Justin, we've talked about this. We talked about shooters. I mean, you got to talk about a guy like Herb that didn't have a shot coming out of college. He really had the constructive shot, and it's usually not the first nor the second year that you really gain confidence in your shot.
Right.
It's the one that's happening right in front of us. So I can really kind of see what Ross and Justin. No, it's a possibility that he gets up to 37. Now I'm not saying the range is like, all right, that's the minimum. I'm not saying that. But the realm of possibility that he gets up there, and this team wants to shoot corner threes. There's been an emphasis, right? He's probably worked on that shot specifically, which I've seen in person. And even when you talk about the month of January, it was stagnant. It was like you played basketball before. Imagine just sitting in a corner, not moving, not being involved. 5 seconds on the shot clock, they just throw you a grenade. Like, you expect me to make that shit?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible. I disagree with the whole Dyson thing, but it's possible that Herb shoots 37%.
Can we get back to Dyson for a second? Y'all make great points because, Chris, Dyson's shot has gotten a lot better. What have you seen from him? To me, it's more of confidence than anything with his shot. He's always had nice form, in my opinion. Like, I never thought he was like a Lonzo Ball, like where, Lonzo shooting the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, he always had good form and good touch, but there's just a confidence when he shoots it now.
I think that there's a little bit of tweaks in the mechanics. Like, the balance is a little bit different. It's a lot less. It looks to be a lot less flat. When from the shots that I've seen, the shot just looks more pure. I mean, to rookie year Dyson, I'd have to have film side by side, but it didn't look as consistent. This one, I do agree with the confidence. I think that some of the things that I saw in preseason is that it's more of a defensive back mentality, right? Whatever happened the last play, it doesn't affect the next play. So if he can airball 1-3 and then grab a rebound the next play, the next possession, and go coast to coast. Yeah. So, like, I think that's the biggest thing with Dyson, feeling like knowing that he belongs here. And I think that the difference between this season and last season is that he's going to be empowered by the lack of certain individuals being healthy, and the fact that I think that they're going to want to depend on him early from the start. Last year, we didn't know when he was going to play. Game 1, Dyson is playing at least 20 minutes unless something goes drastically wrong. I think that's going to be important for someone like him, who's probably more passive, kind of looking at a lot of people ahead of him on the scale of sorts. And I think that level of confidence, him knowing this is my role, this is what I'm playing, this is how many minutes roughly I'm playing, this is what I have to do. I think that's going to bring out a different level of player. Because, I mean, let's be honest, y'all. When we talk about the biggest leap, you only really got 3 or 4 guys. I mean, you got. We didn't mention Najee was last year. So even if you want to throw Najee was the one that made the biggest leap last year. In my opinion,
would have been a candidate probably.
I don't know if I can say
Trey
that.
Murphy. Trey Murphy went from a dude to a problem for me last year.
Yeah, but I mean, but I think that didn't surprise anybody. Well, it didn't surprise me, I should say, Ross. It didn't.
Would you have
surprise
said?
me.
Would you have said, Chris, if Larry Nance was stayed healthy, would you have been surprised by how productive he was before injury and playing that small ball 5-role? Because remember, early on, when Larry was healthy, he was good. I was like, damn, I don't know where the fuck we would be without Jose and Larry coming off the bench.
That's the one really. It's Jose. Jose's beneficially attached to Larry. Like those two on the court at the same time, the pick and roll, him being able to play make, the energy. I thought. I mean, he had a 38-point game.
Jose,
right? Jose
right? Dropped 40. He had a 40-point game.
I don't think he got 40. I think he got close.
I don't think he got 40. I think he got close. I think he got 38.
They were like 38, 39.
Yeah, 38.
Yeah. But just saying, like that dude, right? I think his shot got better. I thought the confidence was key for him. Like he knew how many minutes he was gonna play. It wasn't like a question. I think he made the biggest leap. Now, I don't think he's in this conversation now, right? I don't think he's in the conversation of like, okay, what's the biggest leap going to happen? I think his window is kind of small. But Chris, the Dyson thing. Do you think? I think his problem is really confidence. To be honest, to be really honest, I think it's confidence all around. Like, if he's confident on the defensive end, like why doesn't that translate to the offensive end? Like, that's my only issue because he has the ability. Like the fact that he doesn't even jump the same height defensively. I mean, offensively as he does defensively, just tells me like, wait, where's the disconnect? Like, do you not want to score? Like, do you not want the benefit of playing defenses to play offense and score? That's my only hiccup about Dyson.
Interesting. Yeah, look, he easily get thrown right in the fire early on in the season. Lito, your guy. Expectations from Brandon Ingram this year. And do you think, I'm just directly going to ask you, do you think he can be an all-star this year? No, I'm sorry. Will he be an all-star this year?
No.
Will he put up all-star numbers?
21, 7, and 7.
21, 7, and 7.
Yeah.
Why?
What you mean, why?
Why will he average 21, 7, and 7?
What you mean? That's what I said. Just like,
what does he have to do?
He's okay. So the thing with the 21 is, if again, Brandon is the vehicle. What the hell is that?
I don't know. You see that like button? I don't know. That was weird. It's like a big stream right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Go ahead, Lito.
All right. 21, 7, and 7, right? Brandon, unfortunately for Brandon, scoring wise has to be the one. Yo, I'm not tripping. That shit is really.
I don't know if they can see it, but we can see it. I don't know.
Brandon has to be the one to cut back scoring wise in order for this team to be successful. Brandon is, unfortunately, I think he averaged 24 last year. He's got to average 21 this year because Zion has to be completely like. He's gotta be Zion in all forms of the game in order for us to be successful. To not even be successful, but to be the best version of ourselves. Because we've been successful without necessarily Zion, anywhere around. But I'm saying if you want to go further than being a playing team, if you want to go further than having a fight to be in that spot, Zion got to be the guy. So Brandon has to average 21 because Brandon has to be the vehicle for this team to be successful, meaning he has to turn those shots that maybe he would take into open looks for other guys, or he has to get other guys easy looks. He has to be the guy to Brandon I think Brandon has a better handle than people give him credit for. And I think I'm not saying necessarily make him the full-time person who initiates the offense, because I do like the preseason games I started where Herb has, I think the first 2 possessions, Herb has pretty much gotten the ball and he's decided, what set we get into.
Yes.
But no, Brandon cannot be an all-star and he cannot average a career high in points again in order for us to be the team that we need to be.
If he gets to 7 assists, does he lead the team in assists with that stat line?
He does, yes.
Okay. Ross, go ahead. From Brandon.
No, he can't be. He's not going to be an all-star. He's not going to be an all-star. I just, for me, look, he's a good offensive player. I expect him. I think he probably averages the same thing averaged last year. For me, it comes down with him to kind of toughness and what is he going to do in terms of intangibles, right? Like, is he gonna fight for loose balls? Like, is he gonna go get tough rebounds? Is he gonna do some of those gritty winning things, the things winning players do? I've seen enough of Brandon Ingram to know he's a good offensive player. He does have a better handle than people give him credit for. He is a more skilled player than maybe a lot of people know. My questions around Brandon are those winning things. Like, is he going to turn into a focused defensive player? I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that he can.
I've seen small steps in the right direction with Brandon Ingram defensively, whether it would be FIBA or preseason. Now he still does have his lapses, but I think he's gotten a little better.
We need him to get a lot better.
Okay.
We need him to get a lot better.
Well, according to Five, look, they're 6th in defensive rating. Like, why do they have to get that much better? They were 6th last year.
It's not about getting better in the regular season. It's about when you get into tough games against tough teams, you need guys like Brandon Ingram to elevate their play. They need to become better than regular season players. There's a lot of good NBA players in the regular season, a whole lot of them.
Okay.
If all we care about is the regular season, that's cool. We can turn this podcast off right now. If you're talking about Brandon Ingram becoming an all-star, becoming a person that people care about, becoming a guy that we think about giving a long-term extension to, then I need to see more.
Okay. Five, go ahead.
I mean, Ross has really just said all the points that I've said before. I don't care if Brandon makes an all-star team. I don't. Like that. All right, he's in the. I don't know if he's at the peak level of his basketball abilities, but he's been in the league for a minute, right? Like, yo, you should be caring about winning. Your idea, it shouldn't be all-star games. It shouldn't be all NBAs. Great if you get them, but your focus should be winning. You don't want to be known as a guy that just wanted a check. Like, the check's gonna come if you win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've been paid. You got to the second contract. Now you're going for the third contract. But what have you won? I expect young guys to go for the money. I expect Jordan Poole to go in Washington and chuck it up. But at least he's won already. Brandon, you're a much better player than Jordan Poole. I don't want to compare you to a guy like that. But what have you done? And I get it. Basketball is a team sport. We talk about it. Yeah. But they judge great players on wins and losses. And if you want to be considered a great player, you have to win.
Damn. Chris.
Expectation wise, I kind of like where, at least I see the expectations for Brandon. They're where I would want them to be, right? It's not coming off of a playoff run. It's not coming off of a year where he carried the team to something that people didn't expect him. He had it's a different spotlight. Like, people are, I wouldn't say necessarily lukewarm, but he's in the boat with everyone else in regards to no one really knows what to expect. But I personally, when it comes to guys like Brandon, I like the expectations being low. I like him being or either low or, in the middle, because there's an opportunity for something that we don't expect to happen with Brandon. And what I mean by that is that he is five mentioned some things about the money. Well, Brandon got a lot of reasons to play and put together a really good year, because there is a lot of money on the line for him. And the last time he had some money that was on the line, he happened to be an all-star. So I'm not connecting the dots in that way and saying that will happen. I mean, all-star games it's kind of, I would be much more happier about him finishing on an all-NBA team than I would him being an all-star. But I think people are a little low, in regards to Brandon. The preseason was underwhelming. He's naturally seemed like the person that's he may be off to more of a transitional, a slower start in this offense, finding his footing. But I think Brandon made some strides last season that's going to impact this team, specifically when it came to passing the basketball. How it fits with Zion is going to be it. But that's really the key. If he's able to connect, because it's on him really to do it, as far as I'm concerned. He has to be the one to connect those two. And if he does it, that by itself changes everything. If he's able to connect with Zion and they're able to make something, they're able to make the best of their relationship, well, now everything changes. Forget just an all-star. We're having a different conversation about where this team finishes. I don't know. I wouldn't get into stats and, you know, how good his shooting is going to be and if he's going to improve here or him being a point guard of a team. That's not really my concern. My concern is what kind of relationship is he going to establish on the floor, and are those dudes going to look like a dynamic duo and be able to make stupid complex lists and be even a top 12 or whatever the number was duos in the league. That's it. If he does that, every other door will open.
My only, Chris, I think that was amazing. I think it works if Brandon decides to push Zion in front of him. Like, he has to do that.
Yeah.
Like, Brandon is the bridge. He is the bridge between the team and Zion. And Brandon to fall, like, no, you have to allow Zion to lead y'all. Sometimes you gotta lead from the man, dang. Can't say nothing. Can't say nothing. You know?
Secondary.
Yeah. From the past. From the past.
You gotta lead. Yeah, that's how you gotta lead, man. And I think that's the key is Brandon being that bridge to Zion, which connects to the team and allowing him to flourish and understanding, like, if Zion flourishes, so does he.
Right.
Yeah. Lito, real quick, do you think he'd be all NBA? I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because his third contract, if he makes all NBA, is he then Supermax eligible, or is he, if he makes all star? It's all
Either
NBA,
one,
right?
One of them.
Well, it's either one.
Yeah.
Okay. Lito, do you think he can make all NBA?
No.
Okay.
I got a question for Brother Aloysius. Chris, for real. Like, you said something very, very important with what Brandon has on the line, being money, right? So my question is, can I only depend on the two best players on this team if money and or reputation are on the line? Like, is that the only time I can depend on them?
I mean, I don't know. I don't, because I don't know. And until you can depend on them from a health perspective, it's hard to really answer that question. If they were out there playing consistently and just weren't getting it done, then I'd be like, all right, well, where are the motivations? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Brandon wasn't brought to New Orleans to be the guy. He wasn't brought to New Orleans to be, in fact, I don't think he was brought to New Orleans to be number 2, to be honest. Like, it slowly started to mature in that factor, but the team wasn't built for him, right? It wasn't built for him to be the leader, for him to be the superstar, for him to be even the face of the franchise for periods, you know? So it's difficult for me to really, you know, I think in somewhere in his bag it's about winning, but it's hard for us to really even to judge how far they're going from a winning perspective until everybody is out there for longer periods of time. Because I can't speak to real motivations, bro. When they were in the playoffs, I thought Brandon wanted to win that series as much as anyone else. To be honest, I didn't question, and no one would have. No one questioned his want to win.
And he got hurt in that series a couple times. I remember he had he had a hard foul where he fell right on his tailbone, popped right back up, didn't come out the game. He might have rolled his ankle. Like, he played through injury. He was fantastic. And
wait, one more thing. The Brother Five's point, I agree with this. I think that there needs to be a point where Brandon can be not the only person, but Brandon can be the person to pull Zion aside and literally, like, cuss him out at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gotta be that kind of, like, maturation in a relationship where I can take necessarily you can talk to me and you can tell me the things that I did wrong right? And I can accept them and I can get better and build on them. And at the same time, you do that for me. I think those two got to hold each other accountable to a higher standard than anybody else on the team, even necessarily Willie per se. I think if that type of relationship happens, then you reach the next links or the next steps or whatever.
That's how you become great. Like, holding each other accountable. Like we talk about, good teams are led by their coaches, great teams are led by the players. Like that's like just like that is everything. Like, you look at the teams last year, Denver and Miami and Boston, and those guys, like those players, like they had the Marcus Smarts, the Tatums, the Jokic's, like those are leaders. So I'm interested to see who steps up, because I think y'all make great points there. 5, let's start with you. Final segment. Win-loss predictions. What we got? What we got?
Man. Oh man, I think this might be the most, barring injury to all teams, this might be the most entertaining season ever. Like, I think it's like from a basketball standpoint, I think there's a lot of good teams in the NBA, and everybody somewhat has a chance to make it, some more than others. So I think there's going to be, if you're not off to a great start, you're going to be in serious trouble. Win-loss predictions for the Pelicans, I'm thinking 48.
Okay, you're going 48 wins. What seed does that get you? 48 wins gets you.
I was a 3 seed last year.
That's why I said third.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Ross, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, I tried to think about it, and just go back to the Zion thing. I really think he's going to play something in the order of 60 games. If he can play 60 games, right, we win generally like 65% of the games he plays. Start doing a little math. I think you land in that 48%, like 48 win number. I mean, if he plays 65 games, you're going to win 40 of those. And then you just break even on the back half of that, and you get to 47 wins. I mean, I don't, if he plays more than that, I think you can win 50 games. If he plays less than that, we're fighting for we're scratching for a play-in again. But I'm putting us at 47, 48 wins, kind of in that same spot that 5 had us, purely based on the fact that I think Zion is going to play 60 games this year or more. I really do.
Damn, Chris, I'm really interested to hear this one.
52 wins.
Oh my God! Wow.
How many games do you think Zion
52?
plays?
How many games I think Zion plays, Ross?
Yeah, just for my own curiosity.
58. I'm starting our number. I'm not ready to say that he's gonna play 60.
So that means you think for those, we'll call it 25 plus games he doesn't play, you think we're going to be an over 560-ish% win team? We're going to win more than we lose when he doesn't play this year?
Well, yeah, because I put it to you like this, like last year. Last year, if he plays 50-something games, they win. They probably win 50 games, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He won, 42 and he played 29. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that's super far-fetched. Man, I think a lot is on the line. I think the direction of this team is on the line. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that a coach's job is on the line if things fail. And I do think that the players understand that. I think some of the role players on this team, their ability is, people are a little down on, and in some respects, I think it's kind of been it's kind of fallen a little bit too far. And if Herb Jones shoots 37%, I mean, they're bumping that up, man. I mean,
if Herb shoots 37%, and Dyson, he said Dyson's gonna shoot better than that.
Yeah, man. Look,
looking at the whole team full of strikers out there.
But to Ross's point though, man. I mean, I do think some of the small improvements that this team, that certain individuals have done, and I think that there's a lot of individual motivations. I think a lot of people on this team have their own individual things to play for. A lot of people playing for futures, and they're playing for future contracts, and certain people are playing for status in this league. Other people are playing for to reminding folks about who they are in the league, coming off of disappointing years. I think it's a lot of things at play. I think you'll get a healthier season out of Zion. I think the motivation is there. I think the maturity is there. I think life is changing in front of his eyes. And like Zion said, I mean, not Zion, Jesus, call Five Zion. Like Five said, we're watching the maturation of him kind of live. We've kind of forgotten about Trey Murphy, right? I mean, he'll be back, relatively soon. All that hype about the offseason, he'll be back to kind of, remind folks of that. I got him at 52 wins.
Wow. Lito, close us out here. What you got?
My prediction is the same prediction I've had the last 3 years. 48-34.
48-34.
48-34.
Okay. So go. Why?
I mean,
I thought he was gonna go like 35. I really did. Like he's all talk, man. He's all talk, bro. You were texting me. You literally texted me that you were not looking forward to this, and now you're saying they win 48 wins.
Justin, 35 and 38 is only a 3-game difference. Like that
is a fact. That's math.
You act like I just said they were gonna win 60 games. Like
we got Socrates. You said Ross pulled out the calculator, started doing math. This is a show, man. This is a show.
I feel like it really depends on what Ross said. Unfortunately, it's all health related, right? Like, and until that's concrete, you just kind of don't know. But I'm just saying, if we're going off potential, the potential of what I saw last year, I think 48 wins should be not necessarily easy, but I think that they could get there. I think 48 wins probably gets you the 6th seed.
So I was going to say, Chris, what does 52 wins get? The seed for the seed. What does 52 get you?
What did the Kings finish last year?
Kings won 48 games last year.
Third, huh?
And they finished. They finished third. Oh, okay. I think the West will be the West will be a little bit better, but I think it's gonna be somewhere around there. I think at least third or fourth. I mean, 52 wins. I think in this economy, in this heat. Like it's
52 wins. Hey, 52 wins in this heat, you're gonna be a top 2
yeah, seed. Yeah. I mean, so
you want to say something, Five? I thought.
Yeah, no. Like no team won 60 games last year, so
crazy.
I don't know if like that happens, but I don't see like 5 teams winning 60 games this year. So I can see an instance where 48 still gets you the 3rd seed. Like 52 still may get you that as well. It just depends on injury.
Man, you gotta feel comfortable, man. Like 48 should be pretty attainable if they stay healthy, right? Like y'all made some really good points. Like I didn't think about it, but Zion played 29 games. They won 40. How many games? 42. 42 games.
Yeah.
Like shit. Like
Jesse.
Brandon Ingram missed another 40. Like they might win 65. I mean, shit at this rate.
Whoa. This is the only issue. The bad teams got better.
They did.
The really bad teams in the NBA got better. So they're not the Rockets aren't just gonna, people wanted Wemby. So the Rockets aren't just gonna sit back and win 20 games again or 50, whatever how many games they won. But like
it's fair.
There's not gonna be a lot of wins to go around this time. Like
boy, that goddamn Wemby. Boy.
Yeah.
An alien.
Boy.
He's ridiculous. That'll be it. So Jarrett will be in Memphis on Tuesday, covering opening night from Memphis. Very
real media man.
Yeah. So we'll be definitely hearing from him there in Memphis, and then Knicks at home on Saturday. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Before we do so, let's hear from our sponsors over there at DraftKings Sportsbook. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball's back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season with an instant dub. Basketball's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOT. The crown is yours. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see y'all Tuesday night.